Football has always been more than just a game. It is a world filled with passion, controversy, and intense rivalries. FC Barcelona, one of the greatest clubs in history, has found itself at the center of another heated debate regarding the registration of Dani Olmo and Pau Victor. While some critics, including La Liga officials and rival clubs, have questioned the legitimacy of Barcelona's actions, it is essential to understand the reality from Barcelona's perspective. The decision to temporarily register these players was not only justified but also in line with the principles of fairness and sporting integrity. The registration issue, understanding the context. In January, Barcelona secured a precautionary measure to register Dani Olmo and Pau Victor. This decision was not made in haste but was a result of a careful legal process backed by the Higher Sports Council, CSD. The Council's role is to ensure that players are not unfairly disadvantaged due to conflicts between clubs and governing bodies. Their temporary approval of Olmo and Victor's registration was in accordance with their commitment to protecting athletes. However, La Liga and several Spanish clubs voiced their objections, claiming that Barcelona had been given an unfair advantage. These criticisms largely stemmed from the ongoing financial restrictions placed on the club. The reality, however, is that Barcelona has always acted in compliance with regulations and has worked diligently to maintain stability despite financial challenges. La Liga's opposition and the influence of rival clubs. La Liga's stance against Barcelona has been evident for some time now. The financial fair play regulations have often been applied with stricter scrutiny to Barcelona, while other clubs seem to navigate similar challenges with fewer obstacles. The opposition to Olmo and Victor's registration follows a familiar pattern of resistance that Barcelona has faced in recent years. Interestingly, while some clubs strongly opposed this registration, others, including Real Madrid, maintained a neutral stance. As CSD President José Manuel Rodríguez Lloribes pointed out, nearly 80% to 90% of clubs understood the reasoning behind Barcelona's request. This highlights that the resistance was not universal but rather fueled by certain individuals and organizations with vested interests in limiting Barcelona's ability to compete at the highest level. The role of the Higher Sports Council, CSD. The CSD, as a regulatory body, has the authority to make decisions that protect the interests of players. Their choice to grant a precautionary measure was based on legal considerations and the need to ensure that athletes like Olmo and Victor were not unfairly sidelined due to bureaucratic conflicts. Lloribes' recent statements reinforce the idea that the Council acted with fairness and integrity. Despite facing criticism, the CSD remains firm in its commitment to reviewing the situation thoroughly. A final decision is expected by April 7, and while uncertainty looms, it is important to recognize that Barcelona has acted within its rights, seeking protection for its players while adhering to the legal framework. Barcelona's commitment to fair play and sporting integrity. Barcelona has always been a club that values fairness and integrity. From La Masia's development philosophy to the commitment to playing beautiful football, the club's principles go beyond the pitch. The decision to register Olmo and Victor was not an attempt to bypass rules but a necessary step to protect players who deserve the right to compete. The criticism Barcelona faces often stems from a broader narrative that seeks to portray the club as financially reckless. However, in reality, Barcelona has taken significant steps to rectify its economic situation, cutting costs, generating new revenue streams, and ensuring compliance with financial regulations. The club's actions in the Olmo and Victor case align with this responsible approach. Historical precedents, similar cases in football. This is not the first time a football club has faced scrutiny over player registrations. In the past, clubs like Manchester City, Paris Saint-Germain, and Juventus have all been involved in disputes related to financial fair play and registration policies. While some clubs have been penalized, others have successfully argued their cases and ensured that their players were granted the right to compete. Barcelona's case follows a similar trajectory, where bureaucratic conflicts threaten to overshadow the fundamental principle that players should not be penalized for administrative and financial disputes between organizations. The club's stance aligns with the broader mission of protecting footballers and maintaining competitive fairness. The economic repercussions for Barcelona. Should the precautionary measure be reversed, Barcelona could face significant financial and sporting setbacks. The inability to field key players like Olmo and Victor could impact the team's performance, leading to potential losses in revenue from competitions, sponsorships, and fan engagement. Moreover, this decision could influence future transfer policies. If Barcelona is restricted from registering players due to ongoing financial constraints, it may impact the club's ability to attract top talent, further complicating the rebuilding process in the post-Messi era. The club has already demonstrated resilience by securing new revenue streams and restructuring debts, and a favorable decision would provide the necessary stability for long-term planning. Legal and ethical considerations. From a legal standpoint, the argument in favor of Barcelona revolves around fairness and adherence to sporting regulations. The CSD's decision was not arbitrary but was based on established legal principles aimed at ensuring that athletes are not unfairly penalized. While La Liga may continue to push back, the club has strong legal grounds to defend its position. Ethically, the broader question revolves around whether financial constraints should dictate the ability of players to participate in competitions. Football is meant to be a sport of passion and skill, not just financial management. Ensuring that talented players like Olmo and Victor can compete aligns with the fundamental ethos of the game. The upcoming decision and its potential impact. With the April 7 deadline approaching, the footballing world awaits the CSD's final ruling. If the precautionary measure is upheld, it will reaffirm that Barcelona acted correctly and within the legal boundaries. However, if the decision is reversed, it could set a concerning precedent for player registrations in the future, potentially impacting other clubs facing similar challenges. Regardless of the outcome, Barcelona will continue to fight for fairness and the right to compete on equal footing. The club remains dedicated to ensuring that its players receive the best opportunities, and this case serves as yet another example of Barcelona's resilience in the face of adversity. Barcelona's registration of Dani Olmo and Pau Victor was not an act of defiance but a necessary measure to protect its players. The higher sports council's involvement was justified, and despite opposition from certain groups, the majority of clubs and footballing authorities recognize the fairness of this decision. As we approach the final verdict, one thing remains certain: Barcelona will continue to stand firm in its commitment to fairness, integrity, and the pursuit of excellence in football. No amount of opposition can change the fact that this club is built on principles that will endure for generations to come.